You'll probably get the best game for spectator-wise, but I still think that the Australians will win by probably around about 8 or 9 points.
Well, to my mind, this is the best Great Britain side that they could have fielded. I think it's much better balanced. It looks a better side than the first 2 tests, but nevertheless, I don't think there's any doubt that Australia will rewrite the record books here today with a 3-0 win.
Well, I think it should be a pretty good match. There's good conditions out there today. The ground's pretty good, and the Englishmen have said that they're going to make a better job than they have in the last 2 tests, so it should be a pretty even contest.
For mine, Australia's superior speed, rock-like defence will get them home easily. I'm tipping a 20-point win.
Conditions tailor-made today for a big Australian victory. They're the young side, they're the informed side. Great Britain, the line is wounded. I don't think they'll get out of this one. 3-0, big series win to Australia, and I think by about 15 or 20 points.
The opinions there from some of the personalities in the game of rugby league. I'm with 2 of the young men I told you about earlier, out of today's 3rd test match, and obviously quite a disappointment for both of them. Larry Corowa, bad luck. How do you think they'll go?
I think Australia should win, but I reckon it's going to be a different test from the second one. I think Great Britain will come back a lot stronger in this test. I think Australia should win by 8 points.
Larry Corowa there. Kerry Bowstead, of course, his wing partner. He's out of the side as well. Kerry, bad luck, and of course a club game brought about a broken ankle, and I imagine a great deal of disappointment.
Yes, it was a bad time for it to happen too, the week before the test, but you know, I hope it'll be right. Should repair for next year, so that's all I'm worried about now, getting it right for next year.
Kerry, do you think it'll be a fiery opening?
I think it will be, yeah, for sure. That's the only thing I think that they can do to upset the Australian side, and that's what they'll do.
Thanks for talking to me. Talking of the opening, we'll see that after this break to the 3rd test between Australia and Great Britain. And so the referee comes out onto the field for the 3rd test. The Queensland referee, Eddie Ward, coming into this test match after Greg Hartley, the original appointee to this game, was ruled unfit. And this crowd, not too bad, certainly not anywhere near the size of the 2nd test crowd. But here in Sydney, it's an overcast day. There have been some showers as the balloons are ready to be released skywards. Quite a breeze blowing too, coming, it appears, downfield from the Randwick to the Paddington end. As the Australian side comes down the walkway through the members, and their captain, George Peponis, taking them out on this history-making occasion. We certainly hope, as far as Australians are concerned. The team is there with Terry Fay in, and so too Chris Anderson, the coach Frank Stanton. So the Australian side onto the Sydney Cricket Ground, and the green and gold balloons going skywards. And Mick Cronin is out there today going for an individual record attempt, one that was set back in 1956 by Lewis Jones in a match in a series between England and France. And Michael Cronin has to score 13 points to become the highest individual point scorer in test matches anywhere in the rugby league world. And so the Great Britain side going out, led out by their captain George Nichols, who was our man of the match in last Saturday's New South Wales Great Britain game. Probably the strongest Great Britain side we've seen so far, as we welcome in Keith Barnes to the commentary.
Yes, I agree, Ray. I feel this is the best equipped Great Britain side that have come into the Test series, although I do feel that they face a mammoth task to stop Australia from creating rugby league history. The inclusion of Adams and Topless in the backs, Evans and Topless in the backs, of course, gives them a lot more speed. And also the inclusion of Casey and Hogan in the forwards, I feel, gives them a lot more authority there and a bit more pace and vigour. But I think this Australian side is well equipped to handle anything that Great Britain can throw forward in the game today. And certainly key players are going to be Edie in the fullback position, who's had, of course, a very fine season. Steve Rogers, a player that Great Britain are going to have to watch very closely. And in the forwards, of course, Price. But the skipper, George Peponis, if he's able to give Australia a good share of the ball, that's what they'll be looking for. And I think you'll see them get that test victory that they will be searching for so desperately.
And so the toss has been carried out, and it's going to be Australia running from the Randwick to the Paddington end, running with the breeze. And Tommy Raudonikis, of course, one of the veterans of this test arena here in Australia, probably playing in his last Test match. And George Nicholls, the man who leads this Great Britain side today, coming in after the injury suffered by tour captain Doug Lawton. Joining me in the commentary today with scrums and penalties is the man who should be blowing that whistle out there, or was going to be, Greg Hartley, and it's nice to have him along in a different capacity as the national anthems of both countries are played now. A hush comes across the crowd as they sense maybe this will be the first Australian side to win 3-0 against Great Britain, either here or in England. Australia also needing 25 points to eclipse the most number of points scored by any side in Australia-England Test matches. 25 is the target they're aiming for. And Eddie Ward now blows time on to the third Test. And the kickoff by Woods, going down inside the Australian quarter line. And Chris Anderson in the side, replacing Kerry Bowstead, is tackled just outside his 22. Playing it back to his captain and Canterbury teammate George Paponis, and a short ball from Raudonikis to Boyd. And jointly in the tackle, Gratian and Hogan, and getting up rather slowly is Les Boyd. He was stung by that tackle. It's back to Reddy, a man that critics say was certainly going to be in for his share of the stick in this game today. Craig Young now taking it up for Australia. Still just inside the 22. Tackler again was Jeff Gratian for Great Britain. Back to Steve Rogers, and Rogers puts the kick in down centre field, and going back for it is George Fairburn, the bearded fullback. Falling back with him is Steve Evans, but Fairburn is running to the left and tackled 10 metres out from his own line. Good tactics by Australia. They've got the breeze in the first half, and obviously they'll be using it. Redfern to play it. This is Nicholls now with his right knee heavily strapped. And a penalty to Great Britain. A knee in the tackle. Les Boyd was the man who in fact was stung in his first tackle, and that could have been a get square, Keith Barnes.
Yes, I certainly think so, but the way the Great Britain forwards are piling into the Australian players certainly indicates that there is a little bit more stick going to be in this opening 15 minutes. When I say stick, I'm not meaning dirty play, but I think there's going to be plenty of power in those tackles. And with Casey there, of course, and Hogan, and Norton's going to be a very important player too, because I felt he was their best forward in Brisbane.
Graham Eadie taking this up. A bad error made by fullback Fairburn, failing to find touch. In fact, it landed well in field, and a penalty to Australia. It's against Hughes, the winger. An illegality in the tackle. And Steve Rogers comes over to kick for touch on the showground side. Quite a gusty breeze blowing. Probably up around 20, 25 kilometres. But as everybody knows, the Sydney Cricket Ground is a funny place as far as winds are concerned. It seems to gust up and do some very funny things, doesn't it, Keith Barnes?
Yes, it certainly does, but that was a bad mistake there by Casey with Raudonikis. He came in, and if it's on replay, you can probably pick it out for yourself what exactly happened, but that only compounds the situation where Fairburn feigned to find the line, doesn't it?
Well, there it is on replay. And so Raudonikis receiving attention from trainer Alf Richards, who probably has seen more Test matches than most individuals watching this either live at the cricket ground or on television. So there's a shot of what Cronin is looking at as he prepares to put first points on the board for his team and for himself. He has scored something like 36 points. It is in fact 36 so far in the two Tests. He needs 13 to break the long-standing record held by Lewis Jones, and there's his kick, and the flags are up. Cronin has brought apparently his kicking boot to the cricket ground today. 2-0 in favour of Australia. The third Test brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General today on the O10 network. So John Woods it is, starting play again. Down to the same man who it went to 5 minutes ago, Chris Anderson. Tackled by Gratian and by Casey. Peponis taken by Steve Norton out there in combination with Hughes. Out to Rhodonicus. Craig Young giving it to Boyd. Boyd sliding a pass to Thompson, who couldn't take it. And it was intentionally forward, and the penalty goes to Great Britain. And John Woods will come up and take the kick. Maybe for goal. He's kicking into the breeze. He's taking it. Very good kicker of the ball is John Woods. Australia 2, Great Britain yet to score.
I think you can be looking for a big Boyd today. He was very disappointed with his performance in the second test. He featured in a couple of bad handling lapses, and I know that he'll be able to redeem himself here this afternoon. Certainly hit the line very hard on that occasion.
So the head-on view of the goal attempt has been shown to you. And it's Woods now, round the corner style, in flight, looking wide. It is over the dead ball line. And coming out to the... So the drop to be taken by Steve Rogers. And going down to Fairburn. Play just on the Great Britain side of halfway. Through Nichols. This is Gratian with the ball. Norton's pass. Not taken by Gratian. Picked up by Peponis for Australia. They're about 8 metres on the Great Britain side of halfway as Boyd in number 9 runs across the halfway mark. Now Eadie to dummy half. Ready on the blind side, but Eadie comes back in field through Thompson to Rogers. And Rogers is away from Topless and away from Nichols. Pretty slippery there on the cricket pitch area. Peponis, Rhodonicus. This is Mick Cronin. One-hander back to his teammate Ray Price. Hogan one tackler. Rhodonicus again. Craig Young. Taken by Nichols and by Gratian. This is the last tackle coming up for the Australians now. Out to Thompson. On to Rhodonicus. Out to Rogers. Cronin. Eadie's coming up. That's Eadie. Flick pass to Anderson. Anderson brushing off one, but taken now. 7 or 8 metres out from the 22. First scrum of the game. After 8 minutes. Same tunnel. Penalties at the 8th minute of the match. Greg Hartley. 2-all. It's Eadie. Picked up by Fairburn and driven to play it to Manly teammate Alan Thompson. Ray Price. Norton the tackler. And Woods coming in with a swinging arm. Ward didn't miss it either. Caution on the run. This is Rod Morris. Bustling inside the 22. Playing it back to Terry Fay. He may go himself, Fay. No, he passes to Rhodonicus. On to Thompson. Flick pass to Boyd. Thompson, a beautiful ball man. Serves them up all over the park. Rhodonicus, Young. And Craig Young gets his pass to Peponis. On to Boyd. Boyd stands and offloads to Rogers. Rogers! Can he score? No, he's lost it. And referee Ward ruling the ball went forward. And the scrum is to go down. 7 metres out. Let's see it again. Craig Young was allowed to stand. And so too was this man from memory. And then Rogers. Away from Fairburn, but then he had the ball knocked from his arms. And that was certainly going to be a 5-pointer.
It was certainly a let-off, wasn't it? But, I thought Ward was going to penalise one of the sides on that occasion. He looked as if he was held and then he got away, didn't he?
Penalty to Australia. Another chance for Cronin. Well within kicking distance. In fact, only about 15 metres left of the uprights as you're looking at them now. And so we take you to the head-on of the goal confronting Michael Cronin. So there he is, Michael Cronin. Hits it nicely. It's another 2-pointer. And Australia lead Great Britain 4-0 after 10 minutes of football at the Sydney Cricket Ground in the third test. Test match being brought to you by General and Electronic Sales and Rentals, and a big offer this weekend, being the last international telecast sponsored by that company. A big offer, rent or buy, this weekend, and get not only the hamper but also the digital watch as a bonus. 648-0100 is the telephone number. All over this weekend. So a bad mistake made by Ray Price. And the scrum going down on the Australian quarter line. Raudonikis working the scrum. Won by Great Britain. This is Norton. Lost by Topless. Dived on by Rogers for Australia. Thompson is the dummy half. This is Price. Slithering his way through. Ready. Raudonikis. Young. Tackler was Hogan. Lowe and Gratian around the top. Now it's Boyd. To the halfway almost. 4-0 Australia. Paponis. Raudonikis. Thompson. Cronin. Thompson. But the referee has ruled that it went forward. That could be well disputed.
Australia looking to open the game up a lot earlier than what they did in the first two tests, certainly in Brisbane and Sydney. Edie's chiming into the back line at each opportunity now. They've got a good breeze behind them. They're looking to get as many points on the board as they can in this first session. But in the first and second tests, they were utilising their forwards, their second row runners, Reddy and Boyd in particular, a lot more than what they are today.
Chris Anderson. Good run by Anderson. 2 metres onto the Great Britain side of halfway. Raudonikis. Boyd. That ball was jarred from Boyd's grasp by a swinging arm, in fact. Great Britain diving on the ball, but the referee ruling that it has gone forward, and he's going to pack the scrum down back where Boyd was tackled, just on the Lion side of halfway. You've already seen some of the crowd shots, and I've described it to you, but I would think this crowd would be flat out being around any more than 14,000. Very hard to judge these days as the penalty goes to Great Britain. Loose arm is the ruling. As we sit here in our commentary position, adjacent to us the new stand, slowly but surely nearing completion, and that is going to be something ultra-modern in rugby league as Fairbairn finds touch 11 metres out from the 22 line on the Australian end. Ward tackled low by Paponis, and here's Ward. Let's see that on the replay if we can. Craig Young's the man called out. Here's the replay of it. Oh, gee, I didn't see that when it happened first up. But Ward was right on the spot, and Young might be a little bit fortunate that he didn't quite make contact. And a penalty to the visitors, and their first real scoring attempt, I suppose you could say. Woods called up. Let's check the scrums and penalty situation with Greg Hartley.
Penalties, Great Britain 5, Australia 3. Scrums, Australia 2, Great Britain 1.
Important kick from Great Britain's point of view now with Woods. He's a prolific point scorer, of course, and it's very important to get points on the board.
Woods now. Hooking and wide. Over the dead ball line.
Yes, and he's not too happy with himself because that's 2 opportunities that he's had now to get Great Britain into this game. And, you know, you're not going to get too many opportunities. Tries are going to be hard to come by as far as Great Britain are concerned.
So bringing the ball out is Woods, the goal kicker. Tackled by Thompson. Ward, Norton. Midway between the quarter and halfway on the Great Britain end of the field. Redfern, Nichols, There's some beams of sunshine spread across the cricket ground. It's with Woods losing his footing. Hogan. Norton. Held by Craig Young and George Paponis. Hogan again. $54,000 man. Purchased by Hull from Barrow. Scrum packing. Centre field, right in the middle of the cricket pitch. And 7 metres, Great Britain side of halfway. Australia's ball. Price lost. And another scrum to go down. That was knocked from Price's grasp by Redfern. Australian lock not having a happy start to the game in the handling department, although that particular case was more attributable to Redfern than Price, as the penalty goes for feet across to Australia. And with the breeze, it's quite likely that Cronin could kick for goal, but it appears Rogers is going to be looking for the touchline. He is, in fact. He'll be firing for the Paddington Hill area. There it goes. Finding it on the 22 exactly. Rodonicus. Thompson. Cronin. Here comes Boyd. Tackler was Norton and Gratian. This is Rod Morris. I think in the 3 tests, Keith, Rod Morris hasn't received the credit that he probably should have.
Oh, he's a wonderful player, very tight forward, blocks that middle of that ruck and going all the time, both in attack and defence. I agree with what you say. He's had a wonderful season. He's played 2 great test matches and also had a great season with Balmain.
Cronin off a short ball from Rodonicus and got a pass away to Price. And Price looks for the line. Short. That man bursting up on the left was Thompson. Out quickly to Rogers. Rogers to Eadie. And the fullback has scored 10 metres to the right of the uprights. Oh, that came really off a Cronin pass. And here it is on the replay as this man is allowed to stand, and then to his Parramatta teammate Price, who lunged it towards the line, which I feel threw the Englishman into a panic situation, and then quickly fed to Rogers, who took the tackle and gave it perfectly to Eadie. And the big man strode in and then came around to give Cronin an even better chance for another 2 points.
A very purposeful try, wasn't it? And that wasn't the first occasion in this game that the Great Britain defence have had problems putting Mick Cronin to the ground. On 3 previous occasions he's been hit in tackles but been able to get his pass away, and of course he was the instigator of that try when he was able to slip that clever pass. But then full marks to Australia when they did have the Great Britain defence bunched. They swung the ball out to the right-hand touchline, and from the moment that they did, the try was on. Eadie chimed in, of course. It was just a matter of whether it was going to be he or Anderson that was going to put up the 3-pointer.
So Cronin now, 3rd attempt in the match. 2 out of 2 so far. Scoreline 7-0 Australia. They're 18 points short of being the highest point-scoring test side for Australia in the series against Great Britain. Cronin's kick looks good. Now it's wide. And so the scoreline remains 7-0 in favour of Australia over Great Britain. The 3rd test brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General.
One of the Great Britain problems in previous tests has been their inability to put the Australian ball carrier to the ground, and of course they're certainly in trouble out there this afternoon if they aren't able to turn and achieve that very important facet of the game. Australia, with the advantage of this breeze, haven't kicked as much as I would have expected, although they have been favoured by a couple of very important penalties which have enabled them to get play deep into the Great Britain territory, and here we are now with Australia receiving another one.
So Rogers called up. He'll be firing for the touchline on the members' side. And there it is. Finding touch 5 metres on Great Britain's side of the halfway. Thompson, Young, Price picked up nicely, around one, around a second, taken to ground. A few metres out from the quarter line. Raudonikis, Thompson, ready. A hush seems to come over the crowd every time Rod Reddy gets a touch of the ball. Boyd. He'll play it to Paponis. Raudonikis calling for it on the left. Rogers looking for the man of the match. Colour television from General. Rod Morris up the centre. Only knows one way to go. Last tackle now for the green and golds. Raudonikis, Paponis. And he got a ball down. And it's Great Britain in possession. 22-minute marker, first half. Let's check the scrums and penalties at this stage of the game.
Penalties, Australia 5, Great Britain 5. Scrums, Australia 3, Great Britain 1.
Ball being played by Casey. Scrums and penalties today coming to you from Greg Hartley, the man who was in control of the second test and was appointed for this match, but replaced by Eddie Ward when Hartley suffered further injury in Wednesday night's Amco Cup.
Supposing there the Australian defence hung off Norton, allowing him to run. It's the first serious break that Great Britain have made in the match.
Gratian. And the scrum to go down a few metres on the Lion side of halfway. They're guarding the Paddington end in the first half. And
Norton is a player that Australia can't afford to allow to run because he's a very clever player and had a wonderful game in Brisbane. Instigates a lot of the Great Britain attacks. But for the most part now, in the opening 22 minutes of this game, the Australian defence has certainly completely blotted the Great Britain attack out of the game.
So Australia win this scrum. And it's with Ray Price, taken by Norton and topless, coming over the top Fairburn. Thompson, Raudonikis, taken by Ward. Thompson's the dummy half. Craig Young. Tackler was Hogan. And a penalty to Australia. Let's see it on the replay. David Ward being spoken to. Didn't come up on that replay as clearly as we may have wished. The primary schools match went to Queensland over New South Wales 17-15. The combined high schools match to Papua New Guinea over New South Wales 14-11 as Cronin's kick floats towards the goals but just wide. And the under-18 clash, Queensland went down to New South Wales 16-11. David Ward. Redfern, Nichols. Scoreline 7-0 Australia. Redfern. This is Casey. They're just inside their 22. Norton. Last tackle. Ward is the dummy half. Kicking is Fairburn. And it's down to Edie and Terry Fay. Fay is going to take it out. And that crowd roars as the big man makes his first run for the game. Ended, though, very quickly by George Fairburn. Now Chris Anderson. Play on the halfway mark. Raudonikis. Thompson. Price. Short ball. Mr. Perpetual Motion, they call him. Ready. Ward, one tackler. Gratian again the other. Raudonikis. Thompson. Pulled down by Ward and Norton. Last tackle for Australia. Now to Young. Ready. Little chip over the top. In fact, it's gone into touch. And the scrum will go down about 12 metres on Great Britain's side of the halfway.
It certainly wasn't a touch-finding kick by Rod Reddy. I think he was just kicking to look for an attacking play from winger Terry Fay, but a bad kick from Fairburn a couple of minutes ago when it was a pointless when he kicked straight down the middle of the field with no real power straight to fullback Graham Eadie. But I suppose it is indicative of what Great Britain's tactics will be in the second half with the advantage of this strong breeze.
Joyner, Hogan, Woods, through Casey. This is Nichols, cuts out Joyner, picked up by Evans. And Steve Evans, just into Australian territory. Nichols. Casey. Bootlace tackle by Price. Norton. Joyner. Topless. Gratian. Nichols. Allowed to stand. Casey to Ward to Norton. Norton galloping up towards the quarter line. Evans on the inside. Last tackle now for the Lions. Joyner. Redfern. Nichols. Topless. To ground, and an Australian ball, is it? Being played by Cronin. Rodonicus. Young. Gaining about 8 or 9 metres. Paponis to ruck half. Rodonicus. Ready. Tackler was Ward. Coming in late was Nichols. Played by Ready. Through Rodonicus to Thompson. Cronin. They're standing up very flat now, the Englishmen. Thompson. Young on the blind side. On the halfway mark, Young to play it, tackled by Woods. Paponis, Rodonicus. Rodonicus! Nice one. 15-metre gain. Scrum to go down 12 metres on Great Britain's side of the halfway.
And as you said, Ray, Great Britain are standing flat both in attack and defence. They're looking for quick movement of the ball, but when they have it, there's no one coming on to it with any real drive or purpose at the moment. They are intent on trying to manoeuvre this Australian defence out of position by quick movement of the ball and standing reasonably flat. Whereas in defence, Woods on the outside centre position has been moving up quickly, attempting to chop the Australian attack off and bring them back into the forwards.
So Eddie Ward having some trouble with this scrum. Running around to the open side to have a look. Penalty Australia. Incorrect feed is the ruling. Cronin will almost certainly take a kick for goal. He's 13 metres onto the Great Britain side of the halfway, but I see Rogers jogging across, so they're going to take the kick for touch towards the Paddington Hill corner. And on the quarter line, the tap will be taken by Chris Anderson. Goes himself 13 metres out. Playing it back to George Paponis. This is Rod Morris. Up the centre, Morris. He's only about 5 metres out now. And to play the ball back to George Paponis. Australia 7, Great Britain 0. 10 minutes of the first half remaining. Paponis held at dummy half.
And Great Britain very thin on that right-hand side.
Morris back to Craig Young. Stands back to Morris. And put down by Fairburn. Penalty to Australia. Incident involving Craig Young and George Fairburn. So Cronin looking at the goals in that fashion. We're 8 minutes out from half-time. Australia 7, Great Britain 0. The third test brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General. Cronin moves in, hits it. 2 points. Australia 9 now. Great Britain 0. And there's the goal kicker, Mick Cronin. 6 points for the man in the match so far. Let's check the scrums and penalties with Greg Hartley now.
Australia penalties 8, Great Britain 5. Scrums Australia 4, Great Britain 2.
Graham Eadie
And I'm certain that George Paponis, as captain of Australia, will be driving his players on now to look for that try that they need, I feel, before half-time. And they'd go into the half-time break in a very commanding position if they're able to put another three-pointer on the board.
Les Boyd playing it to Thompson. Morris put down by Norton and Topless. Ball being played back and across to Raudonikis, now to Reddy. Nichols coming in late. Raudonikis, Craig Young. Rogers over the halfway, got the kick in. Ward saw Rogers knocked over in the back play. He will play on and booted over the dead ball line by Evans. There's Rogers regaining his feet. He's okay. Touch judge in to make a report. If it's the incident involving Fairburn and Rogers, there would be no reason for Ward to hesitate on this one, but it's not involving this man Rogers at all. It's something to do with Hogan. He's the man being spoken to.
It was a good break by Rogers, though, wasn't it? He clearly outmanoeuvred his opposition and showed that tremendous pace and acceleration. And, of course, when he was covered by Fairburn and wasn't able to get his pass into Anderson, a very clever kick over the top. Unfortunately for him, a couple of the Great Britain defenders won the chase for the ball, but it certainly indicated what a great player Rogers is.
Graham Eadie has already scored one try, taking play back to the 22. Boyd taken to ground by Casey and Ward. Bit of a altercation in there, and the penalty goes to Great Britain. Boyd being spoken to. So the fullback Fairburn will be looking for touch. And this time he's found it midway between the quarter and halfway. Tap taken by hooker Ward. And he's put down by Paponis. Yes, Keith?
They're in a situation where they have to work the ball now for their full complement of tackles, because they haven't been doing this right throughout the tour. Very important now, though, in the last 5 minutes coming up to half-time.
So it's Ward to play it, almost on the halfway mark. Out to Casey. Redfern. Got a pass back to Gratian. Price and Young, the tacklers. Norton. Redfern. Topless. Almost intercepted there by Paponis, picked up by Casey. Ready, the tackler. Nichols. Ward. Round the legs, Rod Morris. Casey. Nichols. Redfern. Topless. Hogan. 2 metres short of halfway. Raudonikis around the legs. Rogers over the top. Redfern. Norton. Picked up by Gratian. Knocked on by Ward. Offside is Joyner. The referee has already made the ruling. Referee had already made his ruling. Joyner certainly was offside, but
that cricket pitch area is certainly handicapping the game out there at the moment. Both sides are having a lot of trouble in that area. It covers a good area of the Sydney Cricket Ground right in the middle, and certainly both teams become bogged down when they do get into that situation.
Oh, this is a bit nasty now, or it could be, I should say. Saw a left fly, it found the mark. Tempers fraying. 3 minutes from half-time. Raudonikis having a few words to George Nichols. Penalty to Australia. So Steve Rogers will kick now to the M.A. Noble corner. And the kick by Rogers mightn't find touch. Doesn't. Fairbairn's got it. Thompson the tackler. Just out from the quarter line. Nichols. Nichols, a good run. 15 metres short of the halfway. Hogan. Norton. Pass back on the inside. This is Casey. Dummy half is Redfern. Australia 9, Great Britain 0. Nichols kicking for the touch, and it's going to be Terry Fay. So the scrum will go down about 10 metres outside the Australian quarter line. Third test brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General. And the special offer from Electronic Sales and Rentals this weekend, you can rent or buy television and receive the hamper and the digital watch as bonuses with your rental or purchase. 648-0100 is the telephone number. Edie now. Raudonikis. That's Cronin. One-handed pass back to Price. Oh! Referee Ward giving the penalty to Australia. And back chatting. Touch judge in. This test is starting to erupt in various sections, giving the indication, Keith Barnes, that the second half could be a real fiery encounter. Try scored by Graham Eadie as the half-time siren sounds. Cronin's kicked 3 goals so far. It's got height, it's got length, but wide, and there it is. The end of the first half in the third test. Australia leading Great Britain 9-0, and we'll be back in just a moment. Test at half-time, Australia leading Great Britain 9-0 with a try by Graham Eadie and 3 goals by Mick Cronin. The scrums favour Australia 5-2 at half-time, and the penalties, they favour Great Britain 11-6. The errors in the drop ball department, Australia has lost possession 5 times, Great Britain 3, and as far as holding the ball for 6 tackles is concerned, Australia has held it twice and Great Britain only on the 1 occasion. The scoring sequence went something like this. At the 4th minute of the match, Mick Cronin kicked a penalty goal for Australia to lead 2-0. Then after 10 minutes, another penalty goal by Michael Cronin sent Australia to a 4-0 lead, followed at the 18th minute by a good try scored by Graham Eadie, and that took Australia to a 7-0 lead. And then at the 32nd minute, another penalty by Mick Cronin saw Australia in their current situation, leading Great Britain by 9 points to 0. Here now is a recap of some of the highlights out of the first half. Out quickly to Rogers. Rogers to Eadie. And the fullback has scored 10 metres to the right of the uprights. That's Cronin. One-handed pass back to Price. Oh! Referee Ward giving the penalty to Australia, and back chatting. Touch judge in. This test is starting to erupt in various sections, giving the indication, Keith Barnes, that the second half could be a real fiery encounter. And so there they were, the first half highlights in the third test. Australia 9, Great Britain 0. And we'll be back to the Sydney Cricket Ground. So the second half now about to get underway. Dull again at the Cricket Ground as Cronin Puts his foot to the ball and it goes down for Fairbairn to give it to Evans. And we're 6 metres out from the 22 as Ward gives the pass to Redfern. On it goes to Casey. And Casey is tackled by Rodinicus and Peponis. Played back to Redfern. This is Ward. Now Hogan with the headband. Nichols, Redfern, Norton looking to unload. And Steve Norton now playing it back to Redfern. Gets a kick in straight to Terry Fay. Oh, coming in late, Casey. Seemed to have the arm cocked. Did I say Fay? I meant Anderson was the ball carrier. Craig Young now to play it. Rod Morris, gain of some 10 metres. Play is 10 metres out from the quarter line. Australia running towards the Randwick goal. Cronin offloading to Rodinicus. Gets a pass back to Boyd. Continues to work it up the centre. And flung to the ground by George Nichols. Played by Boyd. Out to Young. On to Reddy. Reddy grubbed, kicks with the left foot. Ball going towards the touchline. Fairbairn has it for England. And he'll play it a couple of metres out from his line. Redfern. Taken to ground by Terry Fay. This is Casey. Redfern again. Nichols. Peponis steamrolled by Nichols. Norton. Little kick over the top for Topless. Topless and Thompson getting entangled, and the penalty goes to Great Britain.
Could have been a worthwhile penalty too, because Topless was really steaming onto that ball, and given a favourable bounce, it could have been a dangerous situation. But Thompson was quick enough to sum it up, and was content to give away the penalty. A clever little chip over the top though by Norton.
That man receiving attention is David Topless. And George Fairbairn kicking to the touchline on the member stand side. And he got it into touch, but only just before Chris Anderson came on the scene. Redfern. Nichols. Well, in the second test and the clash with New South Wales last Saturday, we've seen Great Britain come back. I wonder will it be the same again? Redfern plays a lot of his football at dummy half. That's him with it now, giving it to Evans. Put to ground by Fay and Rogers. Playing it back to David Ward. This is Gratian. Now Casey losing his footing. It's a lot more slippery out there than what a lot of Sydney-siders might expect. They've had a lot more rain here than they have in the outer suburbs. That kick for touch is a good one. And so the scrum will go down about 5 metres inside the quarter line. Australia 9, Great Britain 0.
I think there's going to be a lot of responsibility on Australia's skipper's shoulders, George Peponis, in this half, particularly in situations like this now. He'll be desperately keen to get possession.
This is Norton turning it back on the inside, but Hughes couldn't take it for Great Britain, and the knock-on has been ordered against both. Third test brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General. Man of the Match award is the colour television from the General Company. Graham Eadie going across the field, looking for Rogers, dummies to Rogers, and is taken to ground by Joyner on the Australian quarter line. This is Terry Fay, big man, and not the type that the Englishmen really enjoy opposing.
I don't think there's too many teams or players that do like opposing a winger of Fay's pace and strength and power.
So Rogers finding touch from the penalty. just onto Great Britain's side of halfway. Terry Fay taking it up about 5 or 6 metres. Playing it back to George Peponis. This is Craig Young. Young, a good run by the St George prop, and galloping away is Ray Price, and Price scores Australia's second try. 12-0 is the scoreline now. The Parramatta skipper, Ray Price, scoring off a great burst made by Craig Young. He split them wide open. Good run by Young. Here it is. A feeble attempt to take him high, and then Mr. Perpetual Motion striding the last 30 metres to score.
Yes, it was. It was a poor defensive effort there from Casey, and Craig Young has been reasonably well contained in each of the test matches so far, and certainly hasn't shown the form that earned him such a fine reputation on the Kangaroo Tour. But on that occasion, he did everything right. He burst through that tackle by Casey, and full marks to Price. He's a wonderful player, got great anticipation, and that try has certainly caps a wonderful series for him.
So there's Michael Cronin. Cronin already has kicked 3 goals. That's looking good. 4 goals. Total 14 Australia, Great Britain 0. And certainly it looks like we're going to see rugby league history made with this Australian side today. Well, wonder now, can they reach the 25 points needed to become the highest point scoring side? And can Mick Cronin reach his 13 required to break the Lewis Jones record? He's 5 away from it now.
And let's not forget there's $100 a point incentive too.
Price again. Penalty to Australia. Raudonikis getting in for his tuppence worth. Punches are thrown. Nichols is firmly entangled in the middle of this. As players separate their teammates. I know it's probably not a time to be laughing, but I do laugh at Tommy Raudonikis. He always gets in there for his tuppence worth. And I think, Greg Hartley, it might be an opportune time just to get a quick comment from you.
Ray, I think Tommy thought to himself, well, this is the last opportunity he's got to belt an Englishman, and he didn't muck around.
I also feel that if he hadn't have belted the Englishman, the flare-up wouldn't have really occurred. I think the real flare-up started after Tommy let go.
Yeah, so it's 14-0 in favour of Australia as referee Eddie Ward consults a touch judge, talks to Raudonikis, now to Nichols, and gives the penalty to Australia. I don't think that's going to be the end of the fire in this second half somehow. Rogers finding touch for the green and golds.
I think it's going to be a difficult remaining 30 minutes for referee Ward.
Terry Fay. Bumping run inside the 22. Casey the tackler. This is Rod Morris. Australia now looking as though they're hungry for points. Young, 10 metres out. Playing it to George Peponis. Raudonikis taken late. Rogers, though, taken by Joyner. They lost ground on the Great Britain 22 line. Chris Anderson. And this is the last tackle coming up. Rogers is calling for it. He might put the bomb up. There it goes. High, not a good one. And it's with Alan Redfern. Casey. Nichols. Ward. Casey. Norton. Raudonikis getting underneath. But Casey gets the pass away. Nichols.
England, no yardage whatsoever. The Australian defence moving up, swarming all over them, hitting very hard in the tackle.
Redfern. Paponis for Australia. Rod Reddy going towards the scoreboard corner. Gives it to Boyd. Boyd will score, yes! Oh, Rod Reddy got a one-handed ball to Les Boyd. See it again. He'll join her off with the right hand. Slipped a one-handed to Boyd. Might have been fractionally forward, but it certainly was deserving of that.
Certainly a magical pass, wasn't it?
Here it is on the head-on. As this young man, Les Boyd, who had such a great tour of England, plants it down for a try. And there he is, the try scorer. The Cootamundra Kid, as he's known. 17-0 the scoreline in favour of Australia. And Cronin from wide out with the attempted conversion. All right, let's come back with the cameras to give you an indication. He's about 8 metres in from touch, Michael Cronin out there. Showground side. He needs 5 points to break the record. Australia need 8. They've certainly won the series 3-0 and created history. Cronin's kick looks to be out the front of the uprights. And so it's 17 Australia. Great Britain 0 after 12 minutes of time gone second half. So the restart with Woods. Price over the 22. Tackler was Jeff Gratian. Rhodonikis. This is Fay. Tackler was Topless. Thompson. Rhodonikis. Young. Paponis. 12 metres from the halfway. Thompson. Ready. Price. Joyner the tackler. Rod Morris. Rhodonikis. Boyd. Boyd. Can he slide it? He can't. Rhodonikis feeding it. Penalty. Great Britain. Rhodonikis and Redfern. And so the test match again comes to a rather abrupt halt. Scoreline 17-0 in favour of Australia. Tries for Australia, scored by Eadie in the first half. Price 5 minutes into the second half. And Boyd 10 minutes into the second half. And Eddie Wood saying to Tommy, once more and you're gone, boy.
I think he means it too, the way he was speaking. I think it might be a good advice to Tommy Rhodonikis to cool it from here on in. Australia well on top, playing top football. Great Britain came out breathing fire in that the opening minutes of the second half, but they were quickly extinguished by the two top Australian tries.
Fairburn taking the kick for touch as the shadows of the cricket ground spread even further across now towards the showground side. Redfern, Nichols, and the Australians in there, ready with a chop. Ward. Les Boyd is injured for Australia. Gratian taken to ground. Raudonikis. Over the top, Raudonikis. Let's see it. Paponis has been called over with Raudonikis. And there it is. Great Britain's penalty right in front. And Ray Price adopting his praying stance as we see the head-on shot of the attempted goal, and it's Fairbairn taking this kick. Also around the corner. $17-0 at the moment. Looks good. 2 points to Great Britain. Australia 17, Great Britain 2. In the third test, brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General. Scrums and penalties from our guest co-commentator Greg Hartley.
Australia penalties 13, Great Britain 9. Scrums, Australia 6, Great Britain 3.
Cronin restarts. Down to Fairbairn. $17 minutes gone, Australia in possession. Price held by Norton. 16 metres out. Ball being, I was about to say, played back to Fay, but the penalty goes to Australia, and they've been walked again. Tap taken by Paponis, given to Young. Young barging towards the line, a couple of metres out. Paponis could go himself, does. Forced back. Rod Morris coming in, driving the captain, trying to get him across. Morris held by Norton. Raudonikis calling for it, so is Young. Young's got it. Beautifully given to Reddy. Reddy scores! Oh, what a pass by Craig Young. There's Rod Reddy, the try scorer, but this was all St George. Craig Young floated this ball precisely to the chest of Rod Reddy, who sprinted that final 10 metres and sent Australia to 20 points to 2 in front now. On the head-on, see it. Couldn't have directed the pass better.
No, it was certainly a perfectly timed pass by Craig Young, but let's hark back to that Great Britain mistake straight from the kick-off when they allowed Australia to regain possession, and that's probably been indicative of their style of play right throughout the game. They've been on the receiving end of the penalties, they've lost the scrums, they've played without possession, and yet when they've been in possession themselves, they've frittered it away. But another top Australian try, and Australia in this second half have played with much more drive and purpose than what they did in the first. Obviously, the little bit of stick that Great Britain put on has certainly stirred Australia into action, and there's no better player out there than Tommy Raudonikis, who thrives on this type of game and situation.
So Cronin with the attempted conversion from out near the touchline in the scoreboard corner. Crowd figures going up into the scoreboard. We'll have them in a second. Here's Cronin's kick. Got the length, got the height. The crowd roars. He's kicked it from the touchline almost. Australia 22, Great Britain 2. Terry Fay almost lost it. And there he goes, the big South Sydney winger with a good run. Back to the halfway. Boyd. Well, they've got themselves $2,200 from the Australian Rugby League, $100 a point. And I think there's more coming. Rogers, Reddy, Price. Price slithering out of 2 tackles, giving it back on the inside to Reddy, floating it over the top to Rogers. Rogers is down 10 metres outside the quarter. It's from Paponis to Raudonikis to Thompson, now to Eadie, and the big man back to Thompson on to Boyd. Boyd looks for Anderson, calls him on the inside. Great passing by Australia. Away from Rodinicus. Thompson, now Cronin. Cuts out Reddy. It's out to Rogers. This is Eadie. That's Terry Fay. 15 metres out. They're really making this ball sing at the moment. Rogers, the bomb. Fairbairn being tested. He's grounded it. Beautiful take by Fairbairn.
Certainly great football by Australia, though, the way they were able to keep the ball alive there. Everyone looking to get into the game, and quick movement of the ball. An English player injured on the far side of the ground, but it was a well-placed bomb there by Rogers, and equal to the occasion was Fairbairn. He took the ball very safely under pressure and went under in a very heavy Australian tackle. But Australia really after points now, and I think they're going to stretch this Great Britain defence even more in these remaining, 19 minutes or so.
So the English trainer giving some attention to, it looks like Steve Evans to me. Yes, it's Steve Evans, 21-year-old winger. The dropout, a big one. 50 metres on the fly. Chris Anderson also on the fly, and now taking it right back. Good run by the Canterbury winger. Son-in-law of the Australian manager, Peter Moore. Into touch. And I would imagine a pretty happy coach is Frank Stanton. I don't think that name they've tagged on him, Cranky Frankie, applies today. 3 in a row in rugby league history for Australia, 18 minutes away. So Cronin's now, 3 points out from his individual attempt. Australia 3 points out from their other record that they can break here in this match. Fairbairn, that's a good kick. Finding it just on his own side of the halfway. The Ashes Cup trophy will be presented at the end of this game. Casey. Ward. Hogan. Rodinicus the tackler. Price up the top. Redfern. Nichols, topless, quick ball, Gratian, now to Hughes, taken by Reddy. 10 metres from the quarter. Redfern, Ward, Norton. And Rogers hasn't got it. It's Great Britain's ball. Played by Woods. This is Ward, now topless, now Gratian. Back to topless. Hughes can't take it. And this could well be an Australian ball, but the referee has ruled the ball went forward, and the knock-on has been ruled as the touch judge comes in to make a report.
Let's give a lot of credit to Australia's defence out here. They're very well organised, and although under pressure on various occasions during the game, they've remained very, very solid and been able to thwart everything that Great Britain has thrown against it. And full marks to them, the way they've been able to block up any likely looking gaps that could have eventuated or could appear.
So this is Fairbairn. Now Hogan. Taken by Cronin, but he got his pass away to Redfern. He's lost it. Rogers has got it for Australia. Given to Terry Fay. Fay's over the halfway. Fay looking for support and is tackled on the quarter line. Thompson, Rodinicus, Reddy. Picked up by Cronin. The attack jolted. Got his pass away, Cronin, to Rodinicus. The little man's inside the quarter, back to Price. And a punch went in there. Price is in agony there as he plays that ball. Rodinicus, Thompson, Rogers. Bit of a jostle up between Ward and Rogers. Bit of headbutting, it looks like. Ray Price is still injured in the background. Touch judge, I think you'll find, is reporting David Ward. Price is apparently okay as far as trainer Alf Richards is concerned.
Woods is the player he's calling over. I think he sent someone off. Well, he's sending Norton off the field, Ray.
Norton, is it? Yes, well, that's for the incident involving Norton and Rogers. My apologies to David Ward. As you can see, Steve Norton, or you will in a few seconds' time, Steve is getting a bit thin on top, and so is David Ward. Our view was the same as yours. It was the top of the head in the tackle on Steve Rogers, but it's Steve Norton who's been sent off. So, an Australian penalty, and Paponis has said to Cronin, take the kick.
Certainly a disappointed Norton too, because it must be a long walk from that bottom corner all the way across the cricket ground to the member stand in the dressing rooms. Norton
receiving the boos of the crowd as he jogs up to the English dressing room. John Holmes and Mick Adams. 14 is Holmes, Adams is 15. And so Mick Cronin is 3 points short. Boots it high. It looks good, it's home! Another 2-pointer. 24 points to 2. That's the record equal. 48 points in the series to Mick Cronin. Right, Topless is off, putting the tracksuit top on, and Casey is also off. That's him. A restart now. Great Britain with 12 men, with Norton sent off. This is Terry Fay. Australia 24, Great Britain 2. 12 minutes of time remaining. And in kicking that goal, Mick Cronin has also equalled the point scoring for the Australians. They now become the equal highest point scoring side in a series, Australia versus England. So Rod Morris losing the ball, and the scrum to go down in centre field, midway between the quarter and the halfway on Australia's end of the field. Scrum down. Evans taken by Fay. Out to Nichols. Ward. Price the tackler with Boyd. Ball being played back to Redfern. This is Holmes. That's Hogan. That man is Woods. And the tackler Steve Rogers. Holmes. From Redfern across to Nichols on the inside. This is Joyner. Nichols, Holmes, Gratian, Hughes. Penalty to Australia. The ball deliberately forward. So Steve Rogers will come over and fine touch. Let's check the scrums and penalties now.
Penalties Australia 17, Great Britain 10. Scrums Australia 6, Great Britain 5.
Scrums and penalties from Greg Hartley, and Rogers finds touch. Anderson. Playing it back to George Paponis. Rod Morris. The Australians will be celebrating their Ashes winning series on Monday night, I believe. The Australian Rugby League are going to pay them a tribute as Eadie goes bursting up centre at a function on Monday night at the Balmain Leagues Club. Rodonicus, long ball already. Cronin holds Holmes at bay, gives it to Boyd. And they're just outside the 22 now. Equaling 2 records so far. Ready. Down to Evans. Evans to play it about 8 metres out from his own line. This is Mick Adams. Taken by Morris and by Craig Young. Hogan. Ball lost in the tackle. And the scrum to go down inside the 22 line. Third test telecast on the O10 network, brought to you by Electronic Sales and Rentals and General. Telephone number 648-0100. Rent or buy television this weekend from the Electronic Sales and Rentals people, and you will get as a bonus the hamper and also the digital watch. So working the scrum as Redfern. Australian ball. Thompson, Raudonikis. Penalty to Australia. Well, here it is. The chance for 2 more records to be toppled. Cronin kicks it. And there it is. 26 points to 2.
Just referring to the packer forwards again, they've worked tremendously well as a unit, both in attack and defence. They've been hitting the line when they've been in possession. They've completely frustrated everything that Great Britain is able to throw up against them, and I'd give full mark to that pack out there this afternoon.
So the kick-off by Woods. Oh, Eadie. Oh, beautifully taken. And the big manly fullback now calls for support, and Rod Morris is there to take it, but to be put to ground. On his own quarter line, Morris. Terry Fay gaining 10 metres. Taking it even closer to the halfway mark, but into touch. We're six minutes out from full time. Raudonikis feeding. Australia's ball out to Thompson. Here's Eadie into the back line, makes the extra man, takes it over the halfway mark. Getting up and plays it back to Tommy Raudonikis, given away to Les Boyd. And Boyd will play at 12 metres on Great Britain's side of the halfway. Les Boyd has come in for plenty in this test, let me tell you. And it's a credit to this youngster. He was once a very fiery customer. Rogers. And that man is Fay. Into touch. And Steve Evans, the tackler. He knows he's been in a game of rugby league trying to contain that man, Terry Fay.
I reckon he has. There's not much of him, and he's got a wonderful career ahead of him, I feel, Evans. He's certainly a very fine attacking player, but we've seen him on the other end of the stick today, being called upon to do a lot of heavy work in defence. And, of course, this is his first test appearance against Australia, and one that he wouldn't forget, I'm sure.
So the scrum won by Great Britain. Out to Holmes. This is Fairbairn. And held by Ray Price. Penalty to England against Thompson. Fairbairn finding the touch. About 12 metres short of halfway. As the timepiece indicates, we're 5 minutes out. Alan Redfern. Touch of Cumberland throw there. Nichols. Holmes. Woods. Away from Cronin. Taken by Thompson. Oh. Woods. By gee, he's come under the microscope.
I can't work it out how he's still on the field, to be honest.
To be quite honest, Keith, I was going to offer the same comment, but I didn't know whether it was timely.
Timely.
Timely. Understatement.
Oh, gosh. Well, I don't think I've seen a player get so much latitude on the field before.
So Mick Cronin is going to take another kick for goal. Woods has done everything bar take his marbles home. He's really carried on out there. Cronin has kicked 7 out of 11. He won our Man of the Match award in the second test. And he has certainly contributed to the sweeping victory of Australia in this test series against England. So there's Cronin. Study and concentration as he measures out that run. Cameras take you to his facial study. He strikes it. It's just away. And Great Britain retaliate by kicking immediately through Fairbairn, but this is going to put Australia right back onto the attack again. And there goes Eadie, taking it about 12 metres out from the quarter. Played back to Morris and given to Craig Young. Picked up beautifully by Boyd, given away from Rogers out to Fay, and Fay was taken in a jolting tackle out there by Steve Evans. And it's play on, says referee Ward. Knock on now.
I don't think there's any doubting Evans' courage anyhow, is there? Because he's continuing to throw himself into Terry Fay.
Great Britain winning the scrum. The Tooths KB Man of the Match announcement just being made. And another scrum is to go down. And Ray Price has taken out the Tooths KB Man of the Match award. That's his second in the series. He won it in Brisbane in the first test from memory. And so it's won by Australia, back to Graham Eadie. And the big man brushes off a couple, but then goes to ground under Jeff Gratian on the halfway. Ray Price gaining another 10 metres for his side. We must be down inside the final seconds of this game. Rod Morris continuing to work it up. 10 metres from the quarter line. This is Craig Young looking to unload and is pulled down by Hogan. Ball to be played back to Tom Raudonikis. Can they put any more points on the board? Raudonikis, Thompson, and in the back play, Redfern and Young exchange a bit of a fistic altercation, and the scrum is to go down. Well, Tommy Raudonikis is carrying a couple of very swollen eyes. I know one of them was a legacy from last weekend's game, but
I reckon he's enjoyed every minute of it out there today.
I think he has. He's been a great little campaigner for Australia, hasn't he, over the years? Redfern's pass out to Fairbairn. Knock on. Correct ruling by Ward. Fairbairn looks at Ward as if to say, you're kidding, but there's no doubt that that was a knock on. 10 metres out. Almost in front of the uprights, and a penalty to Australia. That's for screwing the scrum. And Paponis tells Cronin to kick for goal. The crowd, they're not happy about that either. They want them to go for the try. 26 points to 2 in favour of Australia. As the final seconds of this 1979 Test Series tick down, and the Great Britain skipper George Nichols, obviously a very disappointed man with the entire series.
I think he's one of the few English forwards, though, that can come out of the game or out of the series with any credit, because from a personal point of view, he's had a reasonably good tour.
So Cronin brings up the flags, and the siren sounds. The series is over. Australia 28, Great Britain 2, and Australia have won the series 3-0, creating a record for the Australians. Never before have they been able to beat Great Britain 3-0. They've also become the highest point-scoring side in Test series against Great Britain, running up 86 points in the series.
Well, the man of the match has really cleaned up in the series. Ray Price, the Parramatta captain, has won from General, the colour television,
And Ray, congratulations, a magnificent effort.
Thanks very much, Ray.
It's been a very profitable day. You won the Toots KB Man of the Match, 300, now the general colour television.
Oh, they're just all bonuses. I think the main thing, we got the 3-block test series. That's all we were after, you know. The others are just by the by, you know.
Ray, tell me, was that the hardest of the 3 tests?
Well, yeah, the Englishmen seem to have a lot more in their tackling this time. Plus, I think the centre being so sloppy and slippery, it sort of brought us down a couple of pegs and made it a lot easier for them. But it was very hard, and this time we had the full 80 minutes instead of last test. It was only 40 minutes of concentration.
Ray, again, congratulations. Kevin Humphreys, you're a very happy president. It seems pretty obvious. Ray, I'm told, has won some other award, a very important one.
Yes, Ray has won the Harry Sandler Medal, which is given for the player of the series, Australian player of the series in Great Britain Test matches in Australia. Ray has had an outstanding series, as indeed the whole team has. It was a very hard thing for the judges to pick one out, but Ray thoroughly deserves it, and we're proud of him and every other member of this team.
Well, Kevin, has been a record-breaking day. They've become the highest point-scoring team in a series against England. Mick Crone has beaten Lewis Jones's individual record. Is there anything else we can break?
No, I don't think there's anything else we can break. All that we can do is keep celebrating and congratulating the lads that made it possible for us, each and every one of them.
Right, we might break a bottle of champagne and crack a Toots KB.
Well, plenty of Toots KB, because they've been a big part of it also. They're great sponsors, and we're proud and happy to be associated with them, Ray.
OK, Kev, thanks for
talking. Thank Channel 10 for their wonderful telecast as well.
Thank you, Kevin. Ray, congratulations again.
Thanks, sir.
That takes us away from our international telecast for 1979 on the O10 network. On behalf of Keith Barnes and today Greg Hartley, I'm Ray Warren. We'll leave you with the Australians doing their lap of honour after this record-breaking test series at the Sydney Cricket Ground this afternoon. Good night, everyone.